Hi everyone, I'm Bunny, and today on Otome Rambles, I'll be talking about Him, the Smile&Bloom. A big thank you to P-Cube for providing me with the copy of the game. Links to the Nintendo Switch and Steam ports are in the description below. Before we begin, I'd like to give some short disclaimers, so feel free to pause the video to read them if you would like, and if not, let's get on to the video. MintLip is a company that mainly produces original situation and drama CDs. These CDs typically feature powerhouse voice actors, such as Nobuhiko Okamoto, Kaito Ishikawa, Yuki Ono, and more. MintLip has several products under their belt, and among them is a title called hanakare, or in English, Him, the Smile&Bloom. In late 2023, it was announced that this situation CD would be receiving an otomegame adaptation for the Nintendo Switch in 2024, becoming the company's first otomegame release. Following the success of this title, MintLip announced in late 2024 that another franchise of theirs would be receiving an otomegame adaptation in 2026, Handsome Laundering. But enough background. Eight different people, 4 different couples, all connected to one flower shop. From love at first sight to quiet pining, Him, the Smile&Bloom explores the different romances our cast find themselves in, flowers serving as their catalyst. Him, the Smile&Bloom was released in Japan of August of 2024, before its announcement for a localization via P-Cube soon after. The English release was released on February 27, 2025 for the Nintendo Switch and Steam with a T rating. It is a slice of life through and through. The game features 2 scenario writers, Yuzuko Asai and Utama Miya. The illustrator is Wyatt, but most are probably familiar with their other name they use on Otome titles, Yuya. Whether it's to spruce up your interior design game or a thoughtful gift for a very special someone, Phil Flower has got you covered for all your botanical needs. Trust that flowers aren't the only thing you'll be eyeing, since at this cozy establishment work 4 good-looking young men. All of them have love stories waiting to unfold with our 4 protagonists. The game holds 4 routes based on 4 different flowers. There is no common route, recommended route order, nor locked routes, as each route is a self-contained story, so I did least to most interested. My order was as follows: Anemone, Tweedia, Mimosa, Nandina. The Anemone and Mimosa routes are 14 chapters, and the Tweedia and Nandina routes are 15. This might sound like a lot, but each chapter has a pretty short runtime. There are 3 endings: the glow end, which is the best ending, the bloom end, which is the normal ending, and the wither end, which is pretty intuitively the bad ending. I will be discussing the routes and couples in the order in which I played them. A new year may bring along a new self, but not necessarily a new love. Something Fuka is all too familiar with. Year after year, her childhood friend, Hokuto, stays unaware of Fuka's real feelings. But maybe there's something that will come along this year to rock the boat. She may be in the deepest, darkest layers of the friend zone trenches, but what is she if not God's strongest yearner? Fuka Haruyoshi is the first of our 4 protagonists. She's an optimistic and devoted individual who shines in the workplace but clumsily grapples with an unrequited love for her childhood friend off the clock. I really enjoyed Fuka's tenacity and honesty about her negative traits. I think she was pretty candid in admitting past errors and understanding how they were wrong, but also had a realistic problem of struggling and always aiming for growth and maturity. Hokuto Ichige, voiced by Makoto Furukawa, is the dependable and kind manager at Phil Flower. He's got the Oni-san aesthetic down to a T, as he strives to accommodate those around him, especially Fuka. As our girlie's self-proclaimed older brother, he loves to dote on and coddle her to the point that everyone around them thinks they must be an item. Hokuto, you... To put it bluntly, I felt like Hokuto held Fuka back as a person and led her on a lot, even if it wasn't intentional. We are eventually given context for these actions, yet minimal foreshadowing backing these justifications. I don't think he is a bad person by any means. In fact, across the game, he is a super nice and caring guy to everyone, and overall really likable. His insecurities just aren't very explored, and were a bit too irritating for me to shrug off as they were, personally. The couple kinda gave me the same feeling I get raging at reality TV couples, and well, that's still a type of fun in and of itself at the end of the day. I thought it was refreshing seeing an unrequited love from the perspective of the MC. I can't say I've seen that much, if at all, in an otome due to the nature of the genre. In addition, the cast is fairly limited, though Hokuto's route basically had everyone trying to get these two together, and I think that was pretty fun. On a rainy day, a kind gesture allows for romantic feelings to blossom within the heart of a down-on-his-luck college student. Serena is flattered by his enthusiasm but can't help but hesitate for various reasons. A nice, reliable Onesan who isn't immune to feeling a bit down on herself sometimes. Serena Aoki is the second of the 4 protagonists. A full-time Fillflower employee, Serena holds such a deep fondness for flowers that the mere idea of flower waste tugs at her heartstrings. She is naturally personable and encouraging of others, traits that certainly have their pull on our leading man. Serena is a very level-headed and empathetic girl. She's so nice, she's the kind of friend you would kill someone for being mean to. Her struggles are a bit low-key in comparison to the other MCs, but I thought it fit her personality perfectly. A literal walking ball of sunshine. Wataru Tori, voiced by Ryohei Kimura, is an excitable college student and the newest part-timer at Fillflower. Wataru is pretty open with his emotions and opts to feel things out rather than suppressing them. In terms of sincerity, he hardly lacks, whether it be in his personal or work life. As Serena notes several times, he's the golden retriever boyfriend. While kind to everyone, Serena fears intimacy due to past experiences. Still, Wataru shows off how serious he is about her any chance he gets. This can sound like a lot, but he went about it in a way that was really sweet. Wataru's route spans the longest of all the routes, making it feel like a natural depiction of 2 strangers gradually getting to know one another. As hinted before, the conflicts of the route aren't really ever stressed, which makes for a mostly fuzzy and chill experience. This was the first time of many where the game made me feel like I was third wheeling. Serena and Wataru are just so precious. Their trust and faith in one another is shown in such a comforting way. During her time as a newbie, Ami met a charming delivery person from Fillflower who shaped her career outlook, though he was soon replaced. After her design firm, Second Spring, is contracted for the flower shop's interior renovation, the two reunite in what seems to be a stroke of luck. Or not? Ami Akashi is our third MC and is tied for my favorite alongside our final one. Ami is a junior interior designer. Rather than worrying over formalities and appearances, Ami likes to cut to the chase and be upfront. As per her romantic history, she is not above timid tiptoeing, but her naturally proactive nature makes her averse to it. Ami is a queen. She is always up for a challenge and doesn't buckle under pressure. She is plenty independent and learns to proudly express her boundaries, but she's still a bit of a hopeless romantic. A Disney prince on a smoke break. Inosuke Sugawa, voiced by Ryota Suzuki, is practically second in charge at Fillflower. He's got an eye for aesthetics and a dedication to customer service that makes him a hit among female customers. Underneath this princely persona is a sharp tongue and a brazen attitude that most people have trouble keeping up with. There's a certain young lady out there who can give him a run for his money though. Gin is proud of his flippancy when it comes to matters of the heart. Upon meeting Ami, this attitude gets put to the test. Gin and Ami's relationship is truly a battle of quips and both are determined to never be the loser. Their banter had me kicking my feet. It was so fun. Thematically, the route tackles learning to be sincere with your partner, which makes sense considering the couple. While all routes frequently fall into tropes one way or another, I did feel like Inosuke's route was a bit more noticeable at times. Personally, it worked for me. It gave me K-drama enemies to lovers without dedicating the 16 to 20 hours of my life for the fix. On a sweltering summer day, an unlikely pair of high school students shared a conversation that they both hold close even after going their separate ways. Life works in mysterious ways sometimes, and years later, they are reunited. But are they really the same as before? The feelings I feel for this girl. Miku Yukihira is the last of our 4 protagonists. An idealistic and diligent overachiever since her school days, it's not uncommon for Miku to ruminate and overextend herself, ignoring if it's to her detriment. Now, Miku has just returned from being stationed 2 years abroad at the Canadian branch of the botanical garden she works at. Unfortunately, she brings back with her less savory things than just work experience. Miku, get behind me, girl! I was so moved by how they handled Miku's insecurities and worries. It felt so genuine and relatable. She tries her best in everything that she does, but struggles deeming that enough. The climax of her character arc was the most emotional one in the entire game for me. Remember when I called Huka's God's Strongest Yearner? Well, I take that back. Tenya Minami, voiced by Atsushi Tamaru, is a full-time employee at Phil Flower. Tenya is a man of few words, but you can count on him to keep it real. His mannerisms may skew lackadaisical, but there's a passionate side to him not many get to see. There's a quiet and considerate warmth to Tenya that may not be visible upon first glance, but when you get him going, you ever see a man so empathetic and compassionate that you just... Hands down my favorite route. I was the most invested in how things unraveled here. Also, I am partial to Miku's struggles and loved how Tenya served as something of a healing figure, without the narrative being oblivious of all the implications that may bear. Miku's growth is the most palpable by the end of the route, but Tenya has epiphanies of his own. Also, shout out to Ray in this route. His wildly differing dynamics with Miku and Tenya made the conflict in this route super interesting. I'm kind of sick about this couple's relationship. Tenya never lets the intensities of his feelings overcome him and happily matches Miku's pace. Miku, in turn, cherishes and tries her best for Tenya. You can tell how much they admire one another. Tenya practically thinks Miku hung the moon, while she thinks he hung the stars, and it kills me! Games are outside of MintLip's specialty. I give leniency to their first title's quality of life features, but I still think it's worth noting that there is room for improvement. The touchscreen tap function is overall finicky and randomly works in specific spots of the screen. There is no rewind feature, and compared to other Otome titles, I feel like there's heightened button sensitivity, so I would accidentally skip or click on things I didn't mean to. It would bother me at times, but nothing unacceptable. I actually never used this feature to begin with, but there isn't a love catch mechanic either. If you've watched any slice-of-life romance anime, K or J drama, chances are you've probably seen setups like the ones in himthesmileandbloom. We've got a dense childhood friend, a genki younger guy, a two-faced playboy, and a pro league yearner. It's pretty clear the title doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, nor does it add much to it either. The game does discuss realistic topics, such as self-perception, communication struggles, and vulnerability, but typically not in depth due to the shorter runtime of each route. Continuing that point, while the game frequently relies on tropes to carry the story, the overall experience is still pretty enjoyable. There's a lack of over-reliance on tropes unanimously dubbed annoying, I'd say. For the most part, what you see is basically what you get, but familiarity isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you're in the mood to watch a childhood friend love chase, or a playboy turned simp, then girl, there's a route in here for you. As an MC enjoyer, having 4 different protagonists was a breath of fresh air, and made all of these different storylines possible. I'd get really excited when they'd bring up an MC from a different route in another route in passing, but I do wish they could have played a bit of a bigger role in each other's routes, considering the storylines are concurrent. Still a win regardless. Short, sweet, and sometimes a bit of a tearjerker, Him the Smile and Bloom is a great pick-me-up between longer or more intense games. Even amongst the potential dramatic tropes available to this setting, the game usually doesn't aim for them, instead opting for more grounded ones. Him the Smile and Bloom plays it safe in most regards, but is still a lovely title for what it is. I think the next 3 or so games I plan to play are all in localized, so I'm gonna be on that Nihongo grind, minasama. I also finally have enough videos to not feel weird promoting my Otome Rambles playlist, where I've covered a couple other games, unlocalized and localized, so feel free to check it out. I've rambled about Uchronia, Matsurika, and Tengoku thus far, and there are surely many more to come. Until next time, whenever that may be. Bye bye!